Dímelo, mi gente. I know it's been quite a while since I've done a podcast, but
It's been a while.
Life has been crazy. But so a while back, I had my buddy here, known on Instagram as Criollo Grindz. We did a podcast. Everything went so smoothly. Everything was awesome. And then for some reason, my audio interface said it was recording, but it wasn't recording. So that totally went to waste. I was super bummed out. And that's the reason I stopped doing podcasts. I was just so depressed.
It was a good one too. It was a good one.
It was a good one.
Yeah,
so even though it'll be kind of impossible to recreate everything we did, but luckily we have known each other for a long time. So I think we'll have the same energy, the same vibes. Yep. But that's just a disclaimer. So as you can see, today's a little different. I'm not in the normal studio, which it was an unknown location, my house. We're taking the podcast for the very first time. We're taking a podcast on tour. And our first stop was here in the home of my good friend Jesus, also known as Criollo Grindz on Instagram. We'll get to that. And our first stop was here in his lovely home. His kitchen is amazing. I haven't seen a gas stove in a long time, so now I know what a gas stove looks like. So
boo to electric stove.
So disclaimer, he has been able to cook faster because of the gas stove, electric stove. I don't want to expose him, but he did okay. But anyway, Zeus, kind of like introduce yourself, man. Introduce yourself to the audience.
You want me to introduce myself?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jesus de Criollo Grindz.
Make sure you talk on the mic.
Yeah, I gotta talk into the mic.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jesus from Criollo Grindz, and Birch, thanks for having me on the show.
Of course. Man.
Basically a food content creator focusing on Puerto Rican food. Mofongo, sancocho, ya ustedes saben, esos tipo de receta.
Yeah. So the crazy thing is I have known Zeus since I was like 14 years old. And
14?
14, right?
It was like 12.
No, 14. It was like 2005. We met in 2005. Through my girlfriend, through my wife.
It was actually 04.
Oh, 04. That's right.
It was August 04.
So we've been friends
fact check.
We've been friends for almost like over 20 years now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, so
20 years exactly, because 20 years. Wow. Happy 2-decade friendship. Yeah. Wow. We did it.
This guy's pretty much like my brother. We'll get into some stories, but the funny thing about it is in those 20 years, not count, let's just shed off like 5 years. Mm-hmm. This man he never really cooked in front of us. Like he never really cooked. He loved to eat. He would come over.
I've always been a foodie.
Yeah. He loved to eat. And then out of nowhere, he just, I remember during the pandemic, he's like, you know what? I've seen people do, I'm going to let you get into it, but he's like, I've seen people do food content, stuff like that. I'm just going to try it out. And I remember I was kind of learning how to do graphic design, not my thing. And I was like, hey, Zeus, here, I made this for you. And he used it. Yeah. And then the funny thing is that when he opened up his page, his Criollo Grindz page, you had about like 20 followers or something like that. Yeah. It was probably like all your family and friends. And then like, I don't know, like a couple months later, this man just had 1,000 and then 2,000 and then 3,000 and 5,000. He just blew up and I was like, what the heck?
What the heck going on here?
Before we talk about our friendship, let's kind of talk about, what you're doing now. So explain to me kind of like the beginning, like what made you do food content, and then when you started getting the response, like how did you react to that? Like tell us about that.
Yeah, so how it started. So I cooked a little bit. Remember when my parents left Hawaii?
Yeah,
my parents left Hawaii, and I basically had to. My brother and I started living on our own. Remember me and Antonio in that little apartment. In
what was it called?
Salt Lake. It was in Salt Lake.
Oh, the one that apartment that smelled like old
smelled
water.
Like old cheese, old water,
and it flooded.
It was from like the 1950s. Los gabinetes eran amarillo, like that banana color that was like in style.
Dude, I remember how scary the hallway was.
Yeah, the hallway was like
it was like a scary
you're walking
movie.
Towards like the Tower of Terror type thing. Yeah, it wasn't. It was a humble beginning for sure. Like venturing off on my own with Tony, and from there I started. Learning how to cook arroz con salchicha, pernil. I started barbecuing a little bit, but that was like to the extent of it, And when I met Bolivia around that time, she was a big foodie.
Shout out to Bo.
What's up, baby?
Dr.
Lama.
Dr. Lama.
Shout out to Dr. Lama. But she's a big foodie. And a lot of people don't know this, but I mean, sometimes I had to persuade her, hey, let's go hang out. Well,
is she like a chips person or no?
She does like chips with her Jersey Mike. Yeah. So yeah.
She only brings chips for herself though.
Inside joke. But yeah, I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, I would have to persuade her. Mira, vente, vamos a ir a comer, a janguear, estilo otro. Oh, where you going? I'm like, I don't know. We can go get whatever you want. Oh, let's go eat. And then yeah, we'd go eat. And yeah, she was definitely food motivated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember she would tell me like, oh yeah, so and so, learned how to cook this when they came to our house. I think one of her sister's boyfriend and stuff like that. So I was like, dang, maybe I should cook something to impress her family. And I remember the very first time I cooked for her family was like, they call it now Goya chicken.
Why?
Yeah, because like before I didn't know how to season food, right? So I bought like little caderitas de pollo and I just dumped half a bottle of Goya adobo in
oh
that
my
chicken.
Gosh, dude.
And it was awful.
It was salty,
everybody was
guessing.
like, what the heck? I was so embarrassed. The only one that ate it was her dad. It's because he came and grabbed a whole bottle of ketchup and just sprayed it all over.
Smart man.
And basically from there, I started like, okay, maybe I did this wrong. Let me see how to really season chicken, because that was kind of an eye opener. Like, man, I really don't know how to cook. Let me learn a little bit more.
But at that time, like social media wasn't really a big thing either. So
we just had Facebook, Instagram. I don't even know if Instagram was even around.
I think Instagram was like in its infancy. Like it was there, but nobody really used it like you use it.
It was
now.
just photos. I don't know if you guys remember.
It was just
photos,
just
posting like, wow, look at this beautiful tree and bird.
Yeah, Reels didn't exist. Yeah.
Let me share this before everything became content creation.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's basically kind of where the root of that started. And from there, remember, I started working at the DFAC.
Yes, I remember.
Shortly after, I started working on a military DFAC, and within 6 months, going from the inventory guy, they threw me on the short order line. And from there, I had to learn quick how to prep food. The soldiers would come in and I'd make them Philly cheesesteaks, hamburgers, and stuff like that. So, and that's where I learned my basic skills, how to use a knife, how to food prep, how to make certain foods. And so I gradually started progressing, but it was real simple. It wasn't like to where it is now. It was very simple.
Kind of basic American
basic,
food,
but that's where my foundation was. And I was always really into barbecue. So like started barbecuing a lot during that time too. But to get to your question, right? And then when the pandemic happened, I was staying at home with Gabi, and literally
the world shut down.
The world shut down. You have to remember, I was like, man, the world shut down. And we were living in California. We're in San Diego, California, and everything literally shut down there. All the restaurants, the barbershops, everything. And like I said before, I'm a big foodie. And I was just like, man, I want some paella. I want this. I want that. And I'll never forget, that was one of the first recipes I learned outside of like Puerto Rican food and, basic stuff. Una pasta. Learned how to make a paella. And it took me like 3 or 4 tries. But when I finally learned how to make it, I felt like this satisfaction doing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really like this. So I was like, let me learn how to make something else. And then from there, I kept learning and researching and learning, talking to my mom. Mira, ¿cómo que fue que abuela hacía la habichuela guisada? ¿Qué le echaba? Esto y lo otro. ¿Cómo hacía el bistec encebollado? And I would just start, incorporating and then add my own twists. And then that's kind of how I started.
Now, when you were starting, what were like kind of like the first kind of influencers? Because I know you saw something that had to influence you to actually do that stuff on Instagram.
So first, it was a big YouTube thing. If you were going to find any type of content for recipes, it's what I YouTube.
Okay.
Those long-term, remember like those 20-minute videos? Everyone's like, the intro is like 20 minutes. Hi.
We don't get to the point.
And I'm like, mira, ¿cómo se hace la habichuela? Vamos. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but then around that time, a lot of people took the opportunity to like, let me make short-term content on Instagram. And man, a lot of people blew up. One of my favorite channels he's an American content creator, which his name is Josh Wiseman. Followed him a lot. Puerto Rican-wise, Cooking con Omi.
Omi was kind of like the first.
She was one of the first to really
Hispanic
break through that barrier and be like, hey, like let's cook some Puerto Rican food and let's get people excited about it. You know what I mean? So yeah, she was definitely one of my early influences.
So, a lot of people know we are Puerto Rican, but you and I were military brats. So we were raised here in the United States. Now I know a lot of people have their differences. Like, hey, you're not really Puerto Ricans. You were born on the island, which is super annoying.
Papi, somos boricua.
It's in the blood, right? So you being a content creator now, right? Now you have this exposure. People know who you are. You have all this following. There's always those people that love to criticize what you do because it's not the Puerto Rican way or it's not the right way. But kind of like, I'm in the world of videography and stuff. Everybody has their own style, right? There's no set standard that you have to follow. Oh, you have to film it this way. It has to look this way. Not everybody's a creative person.
Yeah.
So how did you handle, like when you're kind of your first videos, I'm pretty sure you got all these criticisms. So how were you able to kind of like handle that kind of instead as a human beings, we'll get like upset, right? And we just want to say something crude back. But how were you able to kind of like control yourself, kind of think about it, and how do you handle that, like trolls and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess that's what you can call them, is trolls. Yeah, and I guess for me at first it was kind of shocking. Like I was just like, man, people are getting really upset about this because I used a certain brand, or I used a certain spice, or I made it a certain way. Like, mira, eso no se hace así, esto y lo otro, lo hiciste mal, todo bien hasta que le echaste esto. And I'm like, man, I didn't realize that people were so passionate about it, I guess. Let's just say that. And I just learned to block it out. And I guess with time, you just learn like, hey, you're not always going to please everybody. Everybody's going to have their way of doing things. Everyone's going to have their opinion. And my thing was, you know, if the majority are enjoying it, then I'm doing something right. And I just blocked out all that noise. Because it would get pretty extreme sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the comments. I'm like, geez, he's literally just cooking the way he wants to cook.
At one time, I think I told you the story. I made a bandeja paisa for the first time. And I think I used the wrong type of meat or something. No me acuerdo. Man, this Colombian lady was very upset at me about it. I was just like, look, this was my interpretation. Like, you know, soy colombiano. By the way, I love Colombia, you know. But she was very upset about it. And she was like, I demand that you take down this recipe because you're misrepresenting the recipe. And I'm like, oh, my goodness, you know, like... It's that intense.
That was,
you know what I'm saying? I was like,
what'd you end up doing though?
No, I kept it up. Okay. Because a lot of people did appreciate it. A lot of people was like, wow, un boricua, thank you for, you know, poniendo Colombia ahí en tu página. Like,
no, you're acknowledging them.
I'm acknowledging, like, mira, like, I respect, you know, your culinary expertise, your culinary, you know, you guys influenced me, and this was my interpretation of it. And yeah, and it kind of led me, like, to do a little more research if I was going to do other recipes that... So, and I'm fuera de Puerto Rico or, you know, the United States and stuff like that, just so I could get it right and, you know, pay proper homage to the recipe. So, but yeah, it would get really intense. It would get really intense.
That's the best way to do it because, like, you can't please everybody.
No, you're never going to please
everybody. Has their own style.
Yeah.
So you get all these followings, you're getting all these likes, all these comments, and then you start getting kind of like, how do you call them? Like deals, I guess?
Yeah, the brand deals.
With brand deals. So, you know, keep it broad. We don't want to name anybody, but how was your experience like the first time you got your first brand deal? Like did you feel like, man, like wow, I made it, or wow, I'm actually somebody? So how'd you feel?
No, I didn't really feel like that. And I think there's a lot of misconception around it, right? I guess people really assume that you get a brand deal and it's automatically, oh man, all these dollars are coming in and all this stuff. And it's not, it's just like anything. You have to build a portfolio, you have to build credibility, you know what I mean? Because of having the followers is one thing, but working with a brand and building trust is a different thing. Yeah. And it took, and some people, I guess, like I told you, some people want that instant gratification. It took me almost 2 years till I got my first brand deal. And that was just making content every day. So
what you're saying is the key is just being consistent. No matter how long it takes, you just got to keep having that drive. You just got to keep going. Because eventually, you know, me as a person of faith or whatever, you know, we always trust God or whatever and God's timing. So like just consistency, never give up. And eventually something happens. So it took you 2 years.
And getting better, like understanding that, hey, okay, so what am I doing wrong that could be better? Because sometimes like, I guess it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes we can be our biggest critics and sometimes we're not critical of ourselves enough. So you have to kind of find like a equal balance and kind of in doing that. And yeah, it was just one of those things where every day I was like, okay, you know, tomorrow might be that day. Tomorrow this video might go viral. Tomorrow somebody will see this recipe and share it, and, you know, people will see, you know, what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And for me, it just stemmed because it was a passion of mine, not only the food, but Puerto Rican culture. And it was something that I really believed in, and I just kept going. And thank God for Bo that, you know, she supported me through all of it and pushed me through it. Because there were times where like, man, you know, gotta say, I give up. Like I can't. Like I thought this was it. Nadie le pegó atención. You know, ahí llorando, and I'm like, ugh. And then one day one of my videos went viral. And
which video was that?
So it was the carne guisada.
Ooh, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I made a carne guisada. I remember this day very. Very well. And it was one of those days where I'm like, maybe I'm doing, like I told you, maybe I'm doing something wrong. How about I do this voiceover in Spanish, right? Because before it's like I said, we're military brats. We speak good Spanish, but we speak better Spanglish. Right? And we're educated in English. In English, right?
English is our first. I mean, it's not my first language, but it's
Spanish was my first language, but the dominant language, right? We communicate 80%.
Yeah.
In English. Luckily, we went to Spanish churches, and that would reinforce our language skills.
And our parents too.
And our parents, obviously, and a lot of trips to Puerto Rico. So, shout out to our parents for keeping the culture alive in our household.
Shout out to my mom for never learning English.
Mira, we think cómo se dice esto. But anyways, that first carne guisada, vamos a hacer algo diferente. Let me do it in Spanish. And I did that voiceover in Spanish. And one of the biggest Puerto Rican Instagram page shared it. Good.
Talking to the mic.
Talking into the mic. The biggest Puerto Rican Instagram page shared it.
Okay.
And then the second biggest shared it, and it just blew up.
Gotcha.
I had like over 1 million views. And at that time, I think I had about 6,000 or 7,000 followers. Which is something. I mean, to have
that's a lot.
I mean, people don't realize this, but to have 7,000 people. If one person comes and tells you, "Man, eso lo está duro, tú eres un duro, papi," like that's great. Like, and even like imagine 7,000. Just think of a whole arena of 7,000 people saying, "Yeah, I liked what you did. I'm gonna follow you."
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? People don't really think about it like that because we're so fixated on like, "Oh, este tiene 100,000, este tiene unos 150, whatever." But I had 7,000, and then when that video was published, I went from 7,000 to like 20.
I remember,
in like a week. And I was like, oh my God, está pasando. And right then at that moment, I was like, okay, now I know the formula. I got to do this in Spanish, right? I got to, do specifically Puerto Rican recipes, right? Because I realized what people want to see and what I was good at and what I could actually deliver authentically.
What was that called? Your niche? It was your niche.
My niche, yeah. And I could deliver it authentically. Because before I was like, let me make some chocolate chip cookies. Mira, nadie quiere ver un boricua hacer chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
Ponte a hacer un mofongo ahí con camarón al ajillo y we're talking. You know what I mean? So that's what I realized.
You got to have that one thing that people, whatchamacallit, they recognize you for. Oh, this is Criollo, the guy who makes.
You have to give them a reason to follow you.
I mean, Criollo food.
Give them a reason to follow you. Okay, I want to follow this guy because I want to learn how to make Puerto Rican food, and I like the way he presents it. And a lot of it's personality based, right? I like how he presents. Oh, mira, qué tipo, qué nice. I like how he talks. Some people don't like how I talk. Some people don't like how I look. Some people don't like how I express myself, and that's okay. But it was in that moment that I realized kind of the formula, and then from there I just stuck to that formula. And I've been fortunate enough to get the brand deals that eventually happened. It meant my first brand deal after that viral moment, because people think you go viral and the phone's ringing. Mira, papi, el video. Mira, aquí tenemos miles de pesos para ti. But no, it doesn't work like that. You know, it took a whole year. That happened in November, and it wasn't until the following summer that I got my first deal. And it was for $200 for a video. $200.
Humbling beginnings.
I mean, and for me, it was like, mira, 200 pesos para hacer una receta, eso está bueno. You know what I mean? So,
tell me the difference between doing a video for yourself and doing a video for a company.
For a company?
Yeah.
So I guess doing a video for yourself, it's more tailored for your following, right? It's like, okay, what do my followers want to see? What can I give them a value to see? How can I make a recipe a little bit different and a little bit better and kind of have someone say, oh, wow, I didn't think about doing it like that. Versus a video for a brand, it's more tailored towards the brand's their goals, I guess their campaign goals. Okay, what's the target audience we want to reach? What's the message we want to reach? And let's find some influencers to facilitate that message. So it's kind of like that. You have to really like incorporate not only your style, but all the goals, all the brand goals, all the campaign goals that the brand wants to meet. So, and that part's a little challenging, right? And some brands are, some demand a little bit more, but it's just like any other job. You stay professional and you meet your deadlines and you communicate and
So so followings, brand deals. Now you start getting recognition. I was with you when that happened. Like we were in Puerto Rico. A quick story. We went to Crash Boat. We were at Crash Boat Beach.
Yeah, we were in Crash Boat.
Obviously, I know because you had something going on. You took us with you to like a little mini vacation. Very nice. That was very fun. Very nice. Us and the girls. And
Rincon. It was really
Rincon,
nice. It was super nice.
And we went to Crash Boat Beach, and some guy out of nowhere, Criollo, and
then he tried to sell me something.
Yeah, and I was like, Zeus, that guy's calling you. And you're like, what, me? No, he's not. He's like, yes, he is. And he came running towards you. He's like, oh, Chacho, yo soy fanático tuyo. And I thought it was funny because, you're my best friend. So to me, you're just Zeus. But when people are like fanboying over you, I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I also know you've gotten recognized in other places. So how does that make you feel? And then how do you handle it? Because I know how you are.
So it's not to where you think where I'm recognized all the time.
Yeah.
And the thing about Puerto Rico, like, si eres Bad Bunny, everyone's going to...
Yeah,
everybody wants a photo with you. Everyone's going to follow. But in Puerto Rico, for the most part, everyone's real chill about that. Nadie te molesta, for ejemplo. I saw Miguel Cotto at the golf course. And I love Miguel Cotto. I love boxing. And I saw him, I was like, there's a Miguel Cotto. I was like, man, he had that face, that serious face. I was like, man, I ain't saying hi to him. I'm not going to bother him during his golf, And a lot of people have told me that through DMs, mira, te vi, pero I didn't want to bother you and all that stuff or whatever. But the people that do come say hi, it's just like having a normal conversation. They'll tell me like, mira, dice, tu relleno de papa está bien rico, gracias. And then we'll talk about food and all that type of stuff. And it's odd because I've been recognized I've been recognized in Iowa. Like, what the heck?
At all places.
It's like Iowa, at the mall twice, at a Longhorn in Iowa, at a car wash in Iowa. Like, what? Like, Iowa? Like, there's people that follow me in Iowa? Like,
Iowa,
what?
right?
¿Cómo va a ser? ¿Tú me entiendes? But in Puerto Rico, like, man, it happens a lot when I'm going through the security gate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, papi, tú eres un duro la cocina. And I'm like, gracias, mano. Yeah, that's basically what they'll say. Papi, tú eres un duro. Like, in Puerto Rico, right? So, yeah, it's just one of those things. It's cool. It's humbling. And it's I don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
That, wow, my food and my content's reaching a wide audience. And that's
cool, man.
That's really cool.
I just thought it was pretty funny. I was like, Zeus, that guy's calling you. You're like, no, he's not. No, he's like, yes, he is.
Vender algo. I don't remember what it was.
I think it was cake.
Un bizcochito. Papi, son 20. Dos para 10, dos para 20 y uno para 15. Like, está carito.
Yeah, $20. Y era como así de grande. Yeah. I was like, all right,
no
bro.
podía compartirlo.
So another thing, like, that people tend to do is some people want to kind of ride your coattails, as in, like, I know a lot of you content creators do a lot of collabs.
Yeah.
So just to keep it broad, no naming anybody, anything like that, but what are kind of like the pros and cons of doing collabs? Because I know sometimes people are super cool about doing a collab and it's very 50-50, and other people kind of just want to use you so their platform can get bigger.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess there's more people that want to do it because they want to get to know you, build a relationship and stuff like that. I guess the pro about it would be, it's because, let's be honest, like what we're doing, right? Like self-employment, this type, it's not normal what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
We're not doing the 9-to-5. We're not doing a salary-based job, right?
It's not consistent.
And most people would see like, oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I do content creation. I make Puerto Rican food videos. What? Like, people pay you for that? You like actually do that? It's weird. It's not something that's normal yet, right? For the majority of people. And I guess when I do a collab with another creator, it's cool because like, wow, someone else is doing what I'm doing.
Right.
And like you kind of share those like a regular coworker. Like, el jefe hoy estaba de mamá, estaba el garete, el jefe hoy. Whatever, el boss. Like we can share those same experiences, right? Like, oh man, this is irritating me. Oh, this went really well. So that's really cool. And I guess the con, I would say the only con, and I wouldn't even really call it a con, sometimes there's creative differences.
Okay.
And the thing is, like, anyone that creates content is naturally a creative person, right? And that's natural to happen. So sometimes you'll have someone you do a collab with who you both kind of meet in the middle. And then there's others where you're like, okay, vamos lo que tú quieras hacer. Está bien. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. That's the only thing I would say. That's the only con I would say. So
you do collabs, and then out of nowhere, when we talk about following, all of a sudden these celebrities start following you and stuff. So how did that make you feel?
Dude, so De La Ghetto liked a few of my posts last week, and I was like, whoa, that's awesome. Yeah. So it's just weird.
Yeah.
Porque como like, oh.
Like how did they find me out?
Yeah, como like, it's because it just shows you like, ellos son normal people going through Instagram, and you're just like, okay. Cool. Le gusta el contenido. And I think everybody that's a content creator feels like that because most people share in their stories like, mira, look who liked my post or look who followed me. And you're like, that's cool. So, yeah, I've had a few pretty cool celebrities.
That's cool.
Not only interact, but follow me. I've had conversations with a few of them.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, it's pretty neat.
So, kind of like to wrap up kind of your Criollo Grindz kind of thing, and we'll talk about our friendship. So, what is like... what is one thing that you would like? It can be multiple things. What is that? What is that one thing you want to achieve as a content creator? Like, what is that one goal? You're like, man, once I get here, I think I'm good. I think I'll be satisfied.
I don't think it's really to where and that's the thing. I don't think it's not about really satisfaction. I think with me, when I look at it now, if I were to stop doing this, I love that because one of the things people leave me comments about is like, man, like I wish my grandma was still around so I could still talk to her and get these recipes.
Because your recipes remind them of their childhood.
And like get these tips and tricks. One thing I like no matter what, and I say this with all my heart like that, no matter what happens to me 10, 20, 30, 40 years, like as long as Instagram and Facebook's around, like Gabi at like 50 years old can like show his kids or whoever, hey, this is my dad. Check out all these recipes he made, you know, and like it could be like my great grandson or great granddaughter, Lord willing, right? But you know, and they can be like, mira, vamos a hacer arroz con gandules, do abuelo's recipe. You know what I mean? That's dope. That to me matters more than anything. That I can leave that legacy, that cultural legacy to, you know, anybody that wants to see it. And more importantly, you know, future family members now and future family members, you know. So yeah, that's my insight. But as far as like the business side of it, like, so Alberto helped me. You know, I'm releasing a e-cookbook really soon.
I was gonna talk about that, but you already talked about it. Go for it.
You asked me what the goal is, so that's one thing. That's another step. And I guess the way I've seen it is like steps, right? The first step was like, let me grow a following, let me grow credibility, let me do some brand deals. And now it's like, what's the next step, right? Okay, I make recipes. Why not a recipe book, right? So he's been a big part of it to help me really.
It's been an honor. It's the first time doing food photography, but it's been fun.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, he's been feeding me all this food I shouldn't be eating, but
yeah, we had picanha last night.
It was delicious.
I love picanha.
So what can you talk about a little bit about the cookbook? Like I know it's in the near future, but what kind of like explain, you know, what are you including in it? Like what do you want your ebook to, like when people see it, what do you want them to feel? What do you want them to remember?
Yeah. I mean, mostly that nostalgia when they see it, like, oh man, these are the recipes that remind me of my childhood. Like for me, like, I mean, you know, every time we used to go to Puerto Rico when we were little, man, I just remember like there was nothing like waking up in abuela's house, una avena, una maicena, and like it was. Like,
my grandma.
I think we all lived that.
My grandma would make a mean oatmeal. Like my dad's mom, like she just made this oatmeal, and my aunt still does it to this day. And I don't know how she does it.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't get it like that.
It's one of those things like, ¿cómo lo hizo abuela? So like my titi Eileen, I think she makes the best oatmeal out of everybody. So I stay with her when I go to Puerto Rico, and I was like, titi, dame la avena, por favor, el cafecito. And I freaking love it. And it's just one of those things where like, in those moments, I guess we didn't realize, right, being young. I wish I could have picked their brains more about that. You know what I mean? So I guess with the book, I want to recreate that where it's like, yeah, this is my take on it, but anyone that is looking to start it, right, for their kids, like I told you, I make Gabi farina like maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and I know that he's gonna remember. Like, when I was a kid, I used to wake up and
my dad was there giving me this farina.
Like, here's farina, cream of wheat, you know. And I'm sure when he explains it when he's a teenager, you have farina, and you know, because a kid from another country or nationality is like, farina, what is that? I don't know what that is. You mean oatmeal? No, it's not oatmeal. It's like oatmeal, but it's not oatmeal. You mean grits? No, it's not grits.
Not a fan of grits.
Yeah, there's no salt and pepper on it. It's sweet. You know, so so I guess that's the feeling I want to create. And like you saw, it focuses very much on, you know, the classic traditional dishes, el pernil, arroz con gandules.
But you add a little twist to it, right? Because I know you have little things in there that you
like one of the things I did, so I released this sancocho video yesterday, and this is I learned from Papi, right? The thing is, you got to learn from everybody. You can't be sitting there, yo sé todo, right? And Papi, lately, I guess the last few years, he's been using ají amarillo. And it's a Peruvian spice. Okay. And I've started incorporating it in my guisos and my sopas. And man, it gives it an amazing flavor.
Is it like the kick to it?
Yeah, it's a little kick to it. Yeah. And a lot of people were commenting on it. People de Peru are appreciating me. Like, wow, man, you're incorporating Peruvian spices. Like, that's amazing. And others like, que ají amarillo. Cuéntame esto.
I mean, I didn't know. That's why I asked you.
You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where like, you know, you don't have to do things exactly the way we've always done it. You can incorporate different things from different cultures and, you know, do it to your liking. So yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, man, stay tuned because the e-cookbook kind of like not many people are doing it, so that's kind of cool that you're doing a e-one because everybody's always on their phone or on a tablet. Nobody, like, some people still use books and stuff like that, but when it comes to a cookbook, I'm not a cook, but I cook at home. I'm always like on my phone looking at recipe or following a video, so it's cool that it's an E. You can zoom in, zoom out for people who are kind of blind like me. And it's different. It's different, and I think it's I know you're gonna promote it soon, but I think it's very well priced, and I will be buying a couple and sending it to my family and friends all over the world. In Florida, Puerto Rico.
That's sweet of you.
In Florida, Puerto Rico, one in Washington, but yeah, man. We're always here to support you and stuff. So now that we talked about kind of what you do now, your business things, I kind of want to talk about like our friendship. We have a beautiful friendship. We do. We've had our ups and downs, but we know each other very well. You're pretty much my brother. I can't say you're my best friend. You're literally my brother.